They laughed at the bowl before the first bite. Too much cheese, too much chicken, too much America. But what happens when the mess tastes better than the careful meals they grew up defending? During the 2026 World Cup, one salad begins cracking a much bigger prejudice. Was American food ever the problem? Or were millions taught to judge it without ever sitting at the table? The bowl that won. A bowl of lettuce should not be able to overturn an entire opinion about America, yet that is exactly where the trouble begins. European visitors arrived during the 2026 World Cup carrying a familiar picture shaped by television panels, dramatic headlines, and online clips. American food is oversized, overdone, and somehow proud of both. Then a salad lands on the table looking less like a side dish and more like the starting lineup for Sunday football.
Public service announcement. I no longer want to gatekeep this salad. It's the best kale salad in all of LA, in my opinion.
What is the best salad in America? I'll go try it.
Sweet green. We just had sweet green today for the first time.
Okay.
So good.
So good?
Yeah. Amazing.
I love the peach and goat cheese salad. It's sweet, it's savory, it's bright and refreshing. It just might beat the Harvest Bowl for me.
At first glance, the criticism feels almost reasonable. A classic salade verte in Paris may be little more than tender leaves, vinaigrette, and restraint. An ensalada mista in Rome usually lets tomatoes, lettuce, olive oil, and vinegar speak without a backup choir. The American version, meanwhile, may arrive with grilled chicken, avocado, bacon, cheese, eggs, croutons, corn, tomatoes, onions, and a dressing thick enough to hold a family meeting. To European eyes, it can look as though the kitchen opened every refrigerator door at once and decided democracy should choose the toppings. That contrast does not make French or Italian cooking lesser. It simply reveals how boldly America reimagines a familiar category when appetite, convenience, and pleasure are invited to share the same table. But tasting changes the argument. That crowded bowl is not random. The crisp lettuce cools the warm chicken, the avocado softens the salt of the bacon, the tomato lifts the richness, and the croutons keep every bite from becoming too heavy. Even the dressing, often blamed before it is understood, works like the offensive line. It holds everything together while the flashier ingredients take the credit. What looked excessive from across the table suddenly feels carefully built, generous, and surprisingly balanced.
This is so good. A little bit expensive though, 20 bucks, kind of crazy. 20 bucks for a salad, like, and it's not that big, to be honest. But overall, this is literally peak salad in Miami.
It's like another world.
This is where the cultural difference becomes more interesting than the food itself. Many European salads are designed to accompany a meal. American salads often refuse to remain in the supporting cast. They are lunch, dinner, and occasionally tomorrow's lunch if the restaurant has been especially patriotic with the portion. That is not a misunderstanding of salad. It is a very American belief that healthy food does not need to arrive looking apologetic. The same visitors who expected a bowl of decorative leaves discover something filling, colorful, customizable, and genuinely enjoyable. More importantly, they begin to notice a pattern beyond the plate. The America they meet in restaurants, stadium cities, diners, and neighborhood cafes feels far warmer and more inventive than the distant version sold through gloomy commentary. Nobody needs to pretend that every headline was false, but first-hand experience makes the old picture look strangely incomplete. And that may be the real victory of the American salad. It does not win by being delicate, traditional, or obedient. It wins by being useful, generous, and delicious enough to silence the joke after the first bite. By the end, the bowl once called a mess is nearly empty, and the person who mocked it is quietly searching the menu for what America has been hiding next. Ranch wins. Them over the first warning sign is not laughter, but the sudden silence around the table. A few seconds earlier, someone was joking about the little cup of pale dressing beside the salad, wondering why America had sent a sauce escort for vegetables that were already dressed. Then the fork goes in, the ranch touches lettuce, chicken, bacon, or a stray crouton. And suddenly the joke has lost its speaker.
What do you think you'll take away from your visit here in the United States, back to Germany?
Ranch. I love ranch. I tasted here and it's delicious. And I take 2 bottles with home, with me.
Ranch sauce. They've got ranch sauce in the UK. They're fucking delicious.
Ranch is one of America's quiet cultural superpowers because it adds flavor while making unfamiliar food feel instantly friendly. Developed in the early 1950s by Steve Henson and later served at Hidden Valley Ranch near Santa Barbara, it began as a practical blend of buttermilk, herbs, garlic, and seasoning. By 1992, ranch had overtaken Italian dressing as America's best-selling salad dressing, According to the Association for Dressings and Sauces, the idea became so valuable that Clorox bought the Hidden Valley Ranch business for $8 million in 1972, a remarkable price for something that began as a homemade seasoning mix. Its staying power makes sense because ranch presses several comfort buttons at once, combining creaminess, salt, tang, garlic, and herbs while cooling spice without flattening it. That balance becomes especially clear during a first serious encounter with American food. In Paris or Lyon, vinaigrette usually keeps a sharper edge, while Greek salads in Athens often rely on olive oil, oregano, feta, and the natural juices of tomato and cucumber. Those traditions are clean, direct, and built around letting the ingredients speak for themselves. Ranch chooses a more social role, behaving like the neighbor who arrives with folding chairs, extra napkins, and a cooler nobody requested but everyone eventually uses.
Enjoy the ranch.
Seriously?
I think I become American. Pero
My mom brought this, and this is actually really good.
that's why it's special.
Once visitors realize ranch is not confined to salad, the whole American system begins to make sense. It follows buffalo wings, pizza crusts, fried pickles, raw carrots, loaded fries, and nearly anything that has recently met hot sauce. In Europe, sauces often stay loyal to a particular dish: aioli with seafood in Spain, mayonnaise with fries in Belgium, and remoulade with fried fish in Denmark. America gives ranch something close to diplomatic immunity, allowing it to cross menu borders because its purpose is practical rather than ceremonial. The attraction is also physical because fat carries aroma, salt sharpens flavor, acidity prevents heaviness, and buttermilk cools the tongue after heat. That combination creates a quick reward loop in which spice wakes up the mouth, ranch settles it down, and the next bite starts the process again. It becomes culinary ping pong, except nobody at the table wants the rally to end. After several days in World Cup host cities such as Dallas, Miami, and the New York, New Jersey area, that small cup beside the plate stops looking excessive and starts looking essential. The change seems funny at first, yet it shows how quickly first-hand experience can correct an opinion borrowed from somewhere else. Soon another serving is requested with the relaxed confidence of a local, and a simple dressing has become a souvenir, a habit, and one more reason the American trip feels surprisingly difficult to leave behind. America's wing trap. The first wing looks harmless enough, which is exactly how America gets you. It arrives glossy with sauce, barely larger than a television remote, and surrounded by celery sticks pretending to supervise the situation. 10 minutes later, the plate resembles a small archaeological site, the napkins have surrendered, and somebody's calculating whether ordering another dozen still counts as just trying the local food. Buffalo wings reveal something that European visitors often miss when American cuisine is judged from photographs. The pleasure is not only inside the food, but also in the ritual built around it. The dish is commonly traced to Buffalo, New York in 1964, when the Anchor Bar began serving fried chicken wings coated in a buttery hot sauce. Whether every detail of the origin story is settled matters less than what followed. America took a cheap, overlooked part of the chicken and turned it into a national event food. That transformation says a great deal about American cooking. It sees possibility where another kitchen might see leftovers. In Madrid, friends may share croquetas or slices of jamon. Berlin has currywurst. Brussels has fries with mayonnaise, and British pubs have long understood the value of hot food beside a cold drink. Buffalo wings belong to that same social family, but the American version adds something unmistakably theatrical. The sauce stains fingers, the heat builds gradually, and every person at the table begins making private negotiations with their own tolerance. Nobody needs a speech because the faces are already providing live commentary. The appeal is also more scientific than it appears. Capsaicin, the compound that gives chili peppers their heat, activates receptors that normally respond to physical warmth. The brain recognizes discomfort, then answers with chemicals associated with relief and pleasure. Add salt, crisp skin, butter, and the cooling contrast of blue cheese dressing, and the meal creates a loop that is remarkably difficult to abandon. Heat raises the stakes, sauce softens the landing, and the next wing quietly restarts the game. Americans have turned that loop into a national tradition. For Super Bowl LV8 weekend in 2024, the National Chicken Council projected that Americans would eat about 1.45 billion chicken wings. That number is so large that it stops sounding like dinner and starts sounding like a federal infrastructure project. Yet the statistic makes sense once the dish is understood. Wings are easy to share, easy to customize, and perfectly designed for a crowd that wants to eat without missing the next play. During the 2026 World Cup, that same energy becomes especially powerful in host cities such as Atlanta, Dallas, Miami, and New York, New Jersey. Visitors may arrive expecting American food to be loud simply for the sake of being loud. Buffalo wings prove there's more intelligence behind the spectacle. The dish balances heat, fat, salt, crunch, and cooling sauce with the precision of a veteran quarterback reading the field. What begins as a cautious taste soon becomes a very American form of surrender. Another wing disappears, then another, while the celery remains untouched like gym equipment in January. By the end, the surprise is no longer that Americans love buffalo wings so much. The real mystery is how anyone expects to return home and accept a quiet plate of bar snacks after discovering food that turns dinner into a shared sporting event. Mac's secret weapon macaroni and cheese announces itself before anyone lifts a fork because the surface gives a soft crack beneath the spoon, while the cheese underneath stretches like it has signed a long-term lease. European visitors may recognize every ingredient separately, yet the American version combines them with such confidence that the dish feels less like pasta and more like a warm invitation to cancel every plan for the afternoon. Europe certainly has no shortage of magnificent cheese dishes. Switzerland serves Elpler Magronen with pasta, potatoes, cream, cheese, and often applesauce, while Italy has countless regional ways of pairing pasta with pecorino, parmesan, butter, or cream. Britain also knows macaroni cheese well. The difference in America is not simply the recipe, but the enormous emotional territory the dish occupies. It appears at backyard cookouts, holiday tables, church suppers, barbecue restaurants, school cafeterias, neighborhood diners, and family reunions where somebody's aunt has guarded her version more carefully than the Wi-Fi password. That wide appeal comes from texture, because American mac and cheese is built to comfort the mouth before the brain has finished judging it. The pasta offers a gentle chew, the sauce coats every curve, and a baked top adds browned edges that taste deeper and slightly nutty. When the sauce is properly made, starch from the pasta helps hold water and fat together, preventing the cheese from breaking into an oily puddle. The result feels rich without becoming shapeless, which explains why one serving has a suspicious habit of introducing itself to a second. America's relationship with cheese also supports that enthusiasm. USDA Economic Research Service data show that annual cheese availability in the United States rose from roughly 14 pounds per person during the mid-1970s to more than 40 pounds by the early 2020s. Mac and cheese did not cause that entire increase, although it certainly behaved like a very cheerful campaign volunteer. The boxed version also tells a distinctly American story about convenience without abandoning pleasure. Kraft introduced its packaged macaroni and cheese dinner in 1937 during the Great Depression, when an affordable meal that could feed a family mattered enormously. Historical accounts from Kraft and the Smithsonian report that about 9 million boxes sold during its first year. Nearly 9 decades later, the blue box still sits in American cupboards, while restaurant versions arrive with smoked Gouda, jalapenos, pulled pork, lobster, or a breadcrumb crust that could make a casserole feel underdressed. This is why the dish becomes so difficult to dismiss after tasting it. From a distance, it can seem heavy, childish, or unnecessarily cheesy. Up close, it reveals a culture that understands comfort as something worth perfecting rather than apologizing for. American cooking takes a simple combination, makes it affordable enough for an ordinary Tuesday, then leaves enough room for a pitmaster or fine dining chef to give it a completely new personality. During a long World Cup trip, that quality matters more than culinary prestige. After crowded trains, packed stadiums, unfamiliar streets, and several hours spent pretending jet lag is merely a personality change, a bowl of mac and cheese feels immediately understandable. It asks no questions, requires no translation, and greets the exhausted diner with the edible equivalent of turning on the porch light. European visitors may begin by calling it excessive, although the empty dish usually offers a more reliable review. By then, the real discovery is clear. America did not merely add more cheese to pasta. It turned comfort into a recipe that almost anyone can recognize, even before they have learned how much they are going to miss it. Brisket changes everything. At 4 in the morning, while most of the city is asleep, an American barbecue pit is already working overtime. The fire is low, the smoke is steady, and a slab of beef is beginning a journey that may last 12 hours or more. Nothing about this process is fast, convenient, or especially forgiving, which makes brisket one of the most revealing foods in America. A country famous for speed has somehow made patience taste this good. That contradiction is exactly what catches European visitors off guard during the World Cup. American food is often portrayed abroad as something assembled quickly, wrapped in paper and handed through a window before the car has stopped rolling. Then Texas brisket appears, dark around the edges, soft enough to bend over a finger, and carrying the smell of oak or hickory, like a campfire wearing a tailored suit. Brisket begins as one of the toughest cuts on the animal because it comes from the heavily worked chest area. The USDA recommends 145 degrees Fahrenheit as the safe minimum temperature for whole cuts of beef. Yet barbecue cooks usually take brisket much higher, often close to 195 or 205 degrees. That extra heat is not carelessness, it is chemistry. Long cooking slowly breaks down collagen, while rendered fat keeps the meat moist and gives each slice the rich texture that makes conversation disappear for a few seconds. Europe understands slow-cooked beef extremely well. France has boeuf bourguignon, Italy has brissetto, and Belgium has carbonate flamand. Those dishes soften tough meat through liquid, wine, stock, or beer. American brisket chooses a different route. It lets smoke do part of the storytelling, building a dark crust called bark around the outside while the inside stays tender. A French stew arrives with a spoon. Texas brisket arrives on butcher paper looking like it has just completed military service. The addictive part is the contrast. The bark is peppery, smoky, and slightly crisp, while the center is soft and buttery. Salt sharpens the beef, smoke adds bitterness and depth, and the fat carries those aromas across the tongue. Every bite changes depending on whether it comes from the lean flat or the richer point, which means the same piece of meat can feel like two dishes having a very successful business merger. In World Cup cities such as Dallas, Houston, and Kansas City, brisket also introduces visitors to an American kind of hospitality that cannot be rushed. People wait in line, talk to strangers, compare favorite barbecue joints, and treat lunch like a local ceremony. The meal may be served on a tray, yet the pride behind it has the seriousness of a national monument. That is why brisket does more than defeat a stereotype about American food. It exposes how incomplete that stereotype always was. Beneath the country's love of convenience is an equally powerful respect for craft, patience, regional tradition, and the stubborn belief that difficult things are worth doing properly. By the final slice, nobody's asking why Americans spend half a day cooking one piece of beef. The more urgent question is how anyone is supposed to return home after discovering that smoke, time, and stubbornness can taste like this. The PB&J spell 3 ingredients sit on the counter looking almost too ordinary to matter. Sliced bread, peanut butter, and grape jelly. No smoke curls from a pit, no cheese stretches toward the ceiling, and nobody needs 12 hours or a secret family recipe. Yet this little American sandwich has probably ended more European skepticism than dishes 10 times its size, because PB&J waits until the first bite before revealing how cleverly it was built. The initial suspicion usually begins with the combination itself. Peanut butter tastes roasted, salty, and deeply nutty, while jelly belongs to the sweet world of breakfast toast and childhood desserts. Putting them together can sound like inviting a baseball coach and a pastry chef to share the same office. America, however, has always been unusually comfortable with unlikely partnerships, especially when those partnerships make lunch faster and more enjoyable. Across Europe, sweet spreads already have respected places at the table. French breakfasts often include tartines with butter and jam. Dutch children grow up eating chocolate sprinkles on bread, while German bakeries offer rolls that can be paired with honey, preserves, cheese, or cold cuts. P&J simply crosses a boundary many European traditions prefer to keep tidy. It brings sweetness and savory richness into the same sandwich, then packs the result into a school lunchbox without asking permission from either side. Its appeal becomes obvious once texture enters the conversation. Peanut butter clings to the roof of the mouth, jelly loosens that thickness, and soft bread keeps the whole thing gentle enough to eat quickly. Salt strengthens the roasted peanut flavor, sugar supplies immediate sweetness, and fat carries both aromas across the tongue. Each ingredient solves the problem created by another one, almost like 3 roommates whose strange habits somehow produce the cleanest apartment in town. That balance helps explain why the sandwich becomes difficult to forget. The National Peanut Board estimates that the average American eats around 1,500 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches before graduating from high school. The figure sounds like somebody counted every lunchbox in the country, yet it captures how deeply PB&J belongs to ordinary American life. This is food connected with field trips, rainy afternoons, road journeys, late-night kitchens, and parents making something dependable before the school bus arrives. That emotional background gives the sandwich an advantage no restaurant plating can manufacture. Europeans tasting it during a World Cup trip are encountering more than a sweet snack. They are tasting a small piece of American childhood that millions of people recognize instantly. It costs little, travels well, requires no refrigeration for a short outing, and can be assembled faster than most travelers can understand an unfamiliar subway map. There's also something wonderfully democratic about PB&J. A child can make it badly, a parent can make it neatly, and a chef can upgrade it with toasted brioche, crunchy peanut butter, strawberry preserves, or a pinch of sea salt. The basic idea still survives every adjustment, much like a blue jean jacket that somehow works at a backyard cookout and a fashionable restaurant. By the time the sandwich is finished, its simplicity no longer looks boring. It feels confident. America took 3 pantry staples, gave them permanent seats at the same table, and created a flavor that millions carry through life. During a long summer of crowded stadiums and unfamiliar meals, PB&J offers something unexpectedly powerful. The feeling that America has handed over one of its favorite childhood memories and said with complete sincerity, "Here, try this." Breakfast breaks rules. There's a moment when breakfast and dinner stop arguing, shake hands, and agree that the American table is large enough for both. That moment arrives on a plate of chicken and waffles, where crisp fried chicken sits beside a golden waffle, while maple syrup waits nearby with the confidence of somebody who knows the verdict. To many Europeans, the combination sounds less like a recipe than a scheduling mistake. In Brussels, waffles usually belong to the sweeter side of the day, while fried chicken carries the weight of a full meal. Putting them together feels like inviting a Sunday roast to join a pastry counter. America looks at that separation and politely asks why two excellent things should remain strangers. The answer becomes much clearer through texture than through culinary theory. Frying oil usually sits near 350 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to create a brittle crust, while the meat stays juicy. A waffle iron also produces browned ridges with soft pockets designed to catch butter and syrup. When those surfaces meet, the plate delivers crunch against tenderness, salt against sweetness, and peppery chicken against the mellow warmth of the waffle. Maple syrup slips into the little squares, touches the seasoned crust, and turns every bite into a controlled argument where nobody wants peace. This is the Central American idea behind chicken and waffles. Pleasure does not need permission from the clock. Food historians often connect the modern version with Harlem nightlife, especially Wells Supper Club, which opened in 1938 and served musicians, performers, and late-night diners. At an hour too late for dinner and too early for breakfast, the pairing solved the problem through simple practicality. It served both meals together because hungry people rarely care about administrative boundaries. That history gives the dish more depth than jokes about American excess suggest. Black American culinary creativity, nightlife, and regional pride helped turn an unlikely pairing into a lasting tradition. The plate feels playful, although the culture behind it remains serious, resourceful, and proudly American. European cities already understand the pleasure of breaking food rules occasionally. Lisbon enjoys custard tarts with espresso at almost any hour, Berlin treats currywurst as a reasonable late-night decision, and Belgium has never apologized for giving fries their own sauce culture. Chicken and waffles pushes that freedom further by allowing sweetness and savoriness to share the same fork. During a World Cup summer in Atlanta, that meal fits the atmosphere perfectly. Crowds move between stadium events, diners stay open late, strangers compare scores, and dinner can begin after midnight without anybody checking whether the menu category is behaving properly. The dish feels unmistakably American because it welcomes contradiction, feeds it generously, and sends it back covered in syrup. People may approach chicken and waffles expecting a novelty, but the dish survives because its flavor logic is stronger than the joke. Salt makes the sweetness brighter, syrup softens the spice, and the crisp crust keeps the waffle from becoming too gentle. By the final bite, breakfast and dinner no longer seem confused because they appear relieved that America finally introduced them. Maybe the surprise was never the size of the portions, the sweetness of the syrup, or the confidence of a salad piled like a celebration. It was discovering that American food rewards curiosity. Once stereotypes are pushed aside, every plate reveals history, humor, generosity, and people who want you to enjoy yourself fully. Which American dish would you serve first to change a skeptic's mind? Tell us below, and subscribe for more honest encounters with the America people rarely see.